Good morning, everyone.
Morning, ma'am. Morning, ma'am. Morning, Jeb.
So good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, good morning. Okay, boy. Kanang kas ako. Audio checks ako. Okay lang, audio.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Dili disturbing ang ako ang kwan, ako ang noise sa akong background.
Kusog lang tayo sa background, sir.
Kusog na kayo. Sige, sige. Makita sa ako kwan pa sa place na medyo minaw. Okay. Nag-wild ang mga teachers sa sulod. By 9:15 we'll start. Okay? Okay, so let's start. Uh, can anyone give us a little review about our discussion last time? May I request, may I request, uh, si Jovil? Are you there, Jovil? Jovil, are you there? Nasi Chong, how do you express your surname, Jovil? Cheong or Kyong? Hello. Gapon na si Jovil dito bag jud. Umot lang. How about you, Karel? Utkon.
Sir?
Okay, Karel, can you give us a review about what was our discussion last meeting? A short review lang.
Sir, wala mo concern. Nalimot ko.
Nalimot ka? Kasi nalimot, uy, nga. Nalimot o laog mo na minul atong time na na-discuss ta? Okay, how about you, Kwan? Ikaw ho, Mark. Nakadya ho?
Wala ko na tong last meeting, sir.
Wala ka last meeting? So nga na kay Doc absent, so isa na lang. Ang tangon ta na mo. Mura garig sa 39, 38 ninyo karon bitaw polite kay murag 20 na ko ipapasa sa inyo siguro. Kaya ano mag-ampo kay di ugto na ampo-ampo. Okay, how about you, Angel? Can you give us a little, Angel, you there, Milyoza?
Sir,
Okay. Would you mind giving us a review about our last discussion?
about sa literature review, sir.
Natin laing gi-discuss di ay aside dito? Huh. So naman. Okay. Sa mga makadayon pa mag-discuss sa inyo ha. Kaya muna mag-useless gyapon no pag-discuss na ako class. Uy, di mo pakatag og kwan. Simple review. What's kwan? Kasi problema rin kung maghatag og review di ay. Do you know what's review? Dapat mag-read ka kung kabalo sa review.
Wala na, sir.
No. I was asking sa kwan, answer ni Angel because kwan, answer man siya. We will not proceed unless kabalo mo sa review nga word. Kasi yung English di ay, uy, tell me. Sige mo, yes sa mga discussion na to. Iyat, wala din mo nagbawaan kung sa ito i-discuss last time. STEM baya mo. Dili ba mo TVL, di ba mo UMS, di mo EBM, STEM. Pinakataas na strand. Pinakagahi. Pero mo kabalo sa review. Wala kay answer, Angel. You're wasting our time.
Wala, sir.
Okay, how about you, Piquero? The lead. Piquero. Absent. So, absent si Jovil,
Sir.
absent si Piquero. Yun naman na siya. Ano yung pakatag review sa ato last discussion? Wala tayo gipang kundi ay wala gipang absorb dito mga gipang discuss nato last time. Sir, na busy magud mi sa among research sir kay gipangita naman gud di Ma'am Kwan, ni Ma'am Silva. Dayon, pinaamoy Kwan. Naamoy ka na naamoy lesson nga nakuha na to kay nakabuhat mo sa inyong research. Oh, Valin, can you give us a review, Valin, about our last discussion?
One, sir. Kanang literature review is kanang an overview of the previously published works on a specific topics. Then it what to say? It provides an overview of a particular topic.
Okay, give overview of the particular topic. How about you, Rania? Rania, uh, would you agree sa answer ni Valin? That it is about the overview of the study? Ang kwan, related to the teacher?
Yes, sir.
In what particular point do you think you agree?
Kay kuan man ka lang kung magpili mo sa topic sa research kay need pa man ipang review ang mga literature sa mga previous works, sir.
Dahil ang overview sa review, Dahil ang overview sa review. Ang imong pasabot review, so you're not agreeing to the idea of Balinya, it is the overview of the study. So, ang imong tubag is the review of the study. Oh, so, I don't think it's a yes. So, no, imong answer na. Okay. So, why am I asking you about this one? Because you are about to work with your RRL sa inyong research. And it seems like you are not ready, Jude. Okay? You are not that ready. And I'm not really sure po no, sa inyong chapter 1 if you have done it very well because based from your answers right now, I don't think that is something that is quite presentable. Uh, I'll be honest with you. Your work on the chapter 1 is just something that you have done because you are after for a deadline and it's not something that you are passionate to do. I'm sorry. So I would expect that your work on chapter 1 is not something that is very quite that is that is very not something pleasurable. Okay, so let's work on the RRL. Okay, let's try to continue our discussion. So thank you so much to those who answered. Okay, so this is how this is how we summarize our discussion about RRL. Just try to remember this class, this keywords on the RRL. You have to look for the topic. Try to at least select or check some keywords in every articles that you're about to research that is based from your study. Try to do some search. Search on the words that you think it's not familiar on or is it really something that is related on your in your discussion? Was it really helpful for your study? Okay, search on those particular uh, let's say mga curious na mga kwan, mga out of curiosities na mga words. And then you try to review the results if the data is presented, if it's included on the article that you have studied, and then try to evaluate. Now, okay, let's just skip this part. Okay, let's talk about framework. Okay, I'll be checking your good. I'll be asking Ma'am Silva about your work on the chapter 1 because I would like to check if your framework is really good or not. But what is framework? What is the idea of the framework? Why do we need to understand the idea of the framework? So, framework is the conceptual rationale. Okay? It is a conceptual rationale. It means that in this study, you're trying to justify something. That's the point of creating a conceptual framework. Okay? The word is a conceptual. It is the foundation of a building. It is the foundation of your work. Okay? It is something that you process. It is something that you have to at least know, clean up every information that you're about to put in your study. And also, it defines the various concepts. So we have two types of the framework. We have theoretical and conceptual. So how do we differ theoretical to conceptual? If your work is about conceptual framework, then you have models. It means that you have variables. So those variables now will be your guide. I keep on repeating this one, no? On how important variable is because based from your answer again on our past activity, it seems like you don't even know yet what is a variable. Okay, you just know how to create a conceptual framework, but you don't even know what's the purpose of knowing your variable. So how do you develop a theoretical framework or a conceptual framework? Okay, first you have to select some concepts. A concept is an image or symbolic representation of an abstract idea. For example, you are talking about your majors in the future. Okay, So if you select a concept, you have to make sure that those concepts are really measurable. Okay? Ngano kailangan siya measurable, sir? Because those are the basis of your study. You'll be looking those following information on all of the literatures that you're about to research. Like for example, if the cause of your research is about the attitude, and then the effect will be hating science or hating math or hating other subjects. So you have to make sure that those things are measurable. You have to make sure that those things exist. Because kung wala pa siya nag-exist, if those variables do not exist, then there's no point of continuing, okay, creating your study. So you have to make sure that the concept that you selected is really something that you can research and justifiable. Next is identify the interrelationships among the concepts. Okay, there are concepts that are logical propositions, and there are concepts also that are that targeted relational concepts. Okay, so we have logical propositions and some kuha na siya, relational ng mga concepts. So if you find out, or if your study is about it's about connecting the variables, especially in our conceptual framework. Uh, the only thing that you have to remember is that those various studies, that is, either you have different let's say you have different study on the different kind of variables that you have, as long as we have this connection, and as long as you know how to adjust, you know how to create a statement that would really sound na they are really related to each other, then you can come up with a better idea. Okay? You can come up with a better output. So the key there is that you know how to connect. Okay? You know how to connect. Because there are some articles na good class that needs logical and analytical understanding. It is not that simple, because again, you cannot do literature overnight. You have to do the literature uh, for for a length of time. Okay, it needs a length of time. So if you're doing it an overnight lang, then you're actually not doing it right. Okay, especially when you do your chapter 1. Okay, tapos didiret-diret inyo pagbuhat na kay tungod kay deadline na. What's the point of passing that one kung wala man nagyapon na si pulos? Okay. Another is formulating clear definition. So conceptual and operational definition. Some concepts are easily defined, especially example given, no? Other are difficult, or other are need what? Let's say it needs a deeper. Okay, it needs a deeper definition. So it is not about the definition of terms. It's about how you interpret the the variables that you have included in your framework. Because if you know the definition lang, actually you can just define the word by you can just define the words based from the different dictionaries. Okay, you can pwede ka mo ma-add ang mga synonyms niya dana na, okay, just to make the statement long, just to make your research long. But it's not about the definition. It's about the deeper meaning of that one, of that concept that that you have chosen. So if you choose to study this concept, you have to make sure that you have these evidences that will support it. It is just it is not just something that you have created just because you have understand the meaning of that word. It is something to do with your. It's not about opinion, but it's about your own understanding. Okay. And next is formulating the theoretical rationale. It is through the literature review, theoretical connections between variables can identified and confirmed. So to cut it short, theoretical framework is some or formulating the theoretical rationale is something that is the quiet. You are not talking about the difference between the two variables, but you're talking about the connection of those two variables. So it doesn't matter if they are defined in a various ways, as long as the connection is there, you can actually justify it. By what means of justifying it, sir? It's about thorough reading. Okay, that could be a key. Okay, to formulate a very a very effective uh, theoretical nga framework. Okay, let's talk about the theory. Okay, so based from the root word theories out sa theoretical. So a system of logically interrelated, non-contradictory statements intended to tentatively explain some phenomena, formulated in such a way that testable hypotheses can be derived from them. So let's highlight some words about the theory. It is first non-contradictory statements. It is a testable hypothesis, and it is logically interrelated. So if you talk about this theory is not just based from other people's opinion, but I think it is something that you have. It is something that we observe but not yet tested. But there will be a time that we'll be testing this observation of yours, but it will take, let's say, a process that is related, that is connected, that is relatable to the to the study, no? Because if we will be if we will be relying on the opinion, or if we will be relying only on our mind, our own understanding, on based from our observation, it is very immeasurable. Because ang imo magong mag-observe good is pwede rin mo na siya ma-express through words. Unlike magod, if you've done it theoretically, there will be methods that will be followed. And based from those methods, you can actually test if your theory is right or your theory is wrong. Okay. It is also a set of logically interrelated constructs and propositions that presents a systematic view of phenomena by specifying relationships among variables okay, with the purpose of explaining and predicting the phenomena. So, you know the idea already, that from the conceptual to theoretical. Okay, it's about the purpose of explaining and predicting the phenomena. So, you have this study, you have this problem, all you need to do is to predict the possible answer, the possible solution. But again, it doesn't mean that you have predicted already the solution is you won't need the you won't be needing the process or the method, okay, of identifying if your observation is really true or not. Okay, so again, it will be more accurate if you will be testing that observation, because sometimes theory is you create theory because you're curious. You create theory because you wanted this study to be uh, no, for example, hanging lang sa siya for the meantime. But you will be providing more evidence just to make the theory more conceptual. Okay. Another is provides a point of view, determines what variables are important and what ones are not, provides sources of problem statements and hypotheses, which in turn determine the appropriate research design, analysis of data, and interpretation of results. So, from you as a researcher, if you think that the variables are important, then you have to make sure that the all of those references that you will be including in your study is something that is appropriate on the research design, on the analysis of data, and when you are interpreting your result. Okay? Because there are some good, there are some variables that is very predictable na ang iyahang possible result. But the problem is, you'll never know kung kana ba siya nga prediction nimo will be the same claim on the other people's perception. So if the other people's perception will say that your research is about this one, but I don't think that it is something like this, like that, because there's no strong evidence that is supporting this claim. And what will you do? Siyempre, your framework was based from theory. So all the statements that you'll be answering against them will turn into something lang. It will turn into nothing. An average answer that is not strong enough to to defend your claim about your study. So you have to make sure that the variables there is highlighted. Okay? Because muna nabantayan magud namo uban sa magagabot sa research. The variable is there. But the problem is no supporting details. Okay? You are jumping off your statement out from the context. It's not that it's not helpful. Okay? You're not helping your work. You're actually making it worse. So the point there is you have to make sure that the variable is present. Okay? Do not make statements that is out from your variable. So if the idea there is about the theory lang, then make sure that those theory are supported by other theories. Okay? There are theories also that are supported by principles. And principle is a strong one. It's a very strong foundation to support your theory, for example. Although some of the study are now based on the principle and you are just creating a theoretical study, but if they are related in some point, then maybe it's quite helpful po, no? Kung imo siya i-base sa principle. So, the importance of the theory. It provides a point of view, predetermines what variables are important and what ones are not. It also determines the natural of phenomena and the reason of its occurrence. Provides sources of problem statements and hypotheses, which in turn help determine best study design and analysis of data and interpretation of results. And then it develops nursing interventions. So this is how important theory is when it comes to your study. Okay, uh, we are not, let's say, neglecting the presence of the conceptual framework, but we're actually looking for the true meaning of the how theory is imparting on the research study. So it's better to know, okay, if you are actually providing related literature based from theory or you are providing literature based from principle. Okay, so what is a testing theory? Testing theory is about comparing between the observed result with what hypothesized. Theories and conceptual models might be discredited or revised. So according to Pedazur and Shemelkin, no, hypotheses and theories cannot be confirmed or proven no matter how much evidence because they may be falsified. So if you test a theory, first things first, you have to make sure it is very observable. And then uh, regardless if it regardless no on the, let's say, the perceptions that you have about this theory, as long as everything on the content is, let's say, is very advantage to the revision, or let's say it is very advantage to the concept of kind of revisionizing the concept of the theory, things might be falsified at the end of the line. So what do you mean by that one? Even if you test the theory multiple times, as long as you don't have any evidence that will support your claim, everything will become falsified. Okay, you'll be having this falsification, falsifying statements, lies. Okay, mga bakak ra na, abi-abi ra na siya. Di marites na ni mga result. Okay, so theory testing studies, first it should be logical deduction. So deduce the logical, let's say, try to impart some logical thinking when you are doing your theory. Okay, do not create theory that is one siya that has a big percentage of, you know, reducing its kanang bitang uh, point. You have to make sure that your theory is something that is quite kwan na pod. Kanang, let's say that it was studied in a long time ago, but there you are as a researcher trying to prove something based from the research that you have right now. So, pwede na ito na siya i-apply dyan. And design study, avoiding any other explanation. Remember the word wise class, atong past discussion about how kind of itong challenging it is to create a question based from the word or based from the interrogative question why. Okay? If you start your question in a why, uh, the explanation there would be kuan. Daghan ka na siya, di ba? Daghan ka branch na na. Okay? There will be branches of answers. But you have to sort out which of those answers is really kuan. It's really something kana bitang connected on your study. And then once you find out that that answer is really connected to your study, you stop. Okay, try to limit that one on that point only because if you'll be again if you are not careful on adding words, especially when you create your own statement. For example, no, kung ako may mong panel and then I found out nga dahang kay mga kuskus balungo sa inyong kanang iyong study, I will be asking you various of questions. Di ba? Because I wanted to see if your research is really good or not, or are you really proving it or not? Are you just doing it is because for your grades, or are you doing it because of willingness? No. So if you don't have this willingness attitude when you do your research, then the panel, ako for example, ako nga panel, excited yung kumangotanan sa inyo dana because I don't see the point of your study based from the answers that you are giving, that you are given to me, that you are giving to me. So, yan na siya. Okay? Okay. So, let's just focus on the construction of the Cantor's theory. So, the Cantor's theory is about structural empowerment. So, this is how this is how we give foundation on on the theory. For example, if you have theoretical framework in your frameworks on your chapter 1. So, power is an ability to mobilize resources and achieve goals. Employees are empowered when they have access to information, support, resources, and opportunities to learn and grow in their work setting. Formal and informal power influence empowerment, which turns results in increased work effectiveness. So, according to Cantor's study, no, this theory of his provides framework for understanding empowering workplaces and empowered employees. So, let's focus on the example of this theory of Cantor's. So, young theory is about empowering the workplace and the employees. So how did Cantor theory started to give, let's say, proof sa iyang study? So one of the theory that he created is that he focused the study on the role of management. Okay, and based sa iyang work, no, for example, the theory uh, posits that the role of management is to provide employees with the power tools and empower them to maximize their ability to accomplish their work in a meaningful way, thereby benefiting the organization as a whole. So based from his answers sa iyong theory, it is something that is measurable. So how did Cantor theory create this kind of one study? First, maybe he visited the place, or let's say he is the one that the study is telling us. Okay? Maybe siya ang subject because pwede siya nga isa siya sa mga employee na ng company. And then he started to think of many questions, no? How kung for example, kamo as a student, di ba? When you created your problem about the K to 12 program, especially on the different modalities, no? Like when you do the kanang online class, when you do the modular, or when you do the blended, you as a student is the subject of the study. The question is, when you have created your research, why do you think you need to ask any student if you yourself is already the subject of your problem? Okay? Kada kitang student ang imong subject pero ikaw po student ka. So what's the difference between you as a student and other student nga imikuan o basis sa study? Di ba? So, theoretically, you can say that based from your experience as a student, you should also, this is about prediction na dayon. You'll predict now that your experience is now also the same experience na ma-feel sa other students. So, if you think that you are having a hard time or difficult time, let's say you don't have yet the capacity to do or to go after with your other things to do that is in line on the modality of learning, then that's the same thing also na experience sa other students. So if you think it is hard, then for them it's hard also. But again, why do you think you need to ask them? Okay? Pero kailangan pa man kag-respondents kung ikaw, you yourself as well is the respondent na. Diba? So, it's all about proving. Okay? That is how you measure the theory. So, again, it will lead to falsification unless other evidences or other claims will will let's say kanang kwan will object on that idea nimo no as a researcher. Okay, so how is it different to the conceptual models or conceptual framework? In the conceptual framework, it is less formal means of organizing phenomena. It is loosely structured. It has an abstract concept that are brought together based on the relevance of the common theme. It provides perspective regarding two or more than phenomena, and then it is used to generate the hypothesis. Okay, let's just highlight the word generating the hypothesis. Hypothetically, you'll be doing, let's say, you have research questions and you have hypothetical answers only. And you have to create a concept out of those questions. Then, based on the questions you have made, you have now the problem. Now, the question is, how will you answer your problem? So, we go back again on the hypothetical answers that you have. But once you've done your hypothetical answer, you go back again on the variables. So from the variables, you have now you have now the the floor or the table, for example, to at least no to at least create a concept out from those variables that you have created based from the hypothetical answers na imong na-create pod na based pod sa imong problem. So, why do you think it is a less formal? Because you are just categorizing. Okay, you are categorizing actually the concept. So again, you have here the cause and effect, di ba? Some of your work, I've checked your work, manggod, especially katong kitang pasa sa ako nga sample niyo sa practical research 1 and 2, no? Most of your conceptual frameworks there were just based from the dependent, independent, and the backup. Pero when the structure of those concepts that you have there is not totally the it's not totally, let's say, it's not really formal. Okay? It's not formal. So, bakit siya formal? Because sa variable ninyo, daghan kayo, napulo ka buo. Sa, butata, independent variable, napulo. Sa dependent variable, napulo ka pin. Sa backup ninyo, 20 ka buo. Now, how are you going to measure those variables? Daghan na kayo magipang butang. Okay? Dahil papangutan mo, may hindi mo nga, mumagay mo na research, sir. O, don't tell me sa inyong chapter 1 karon nagipasa kay Ma'am Silva, those are based from your research pod. No? So, you have to think first. Okay, you have to conceptualize first. What are the variables that is really effective when you are doing your research? Try to weigh if it's really helpful or not. Will it benefit your study or will it not? Is it really something that is measurable or not? It is something that's based from the theory or is it is now based from the principle? So, nga na siya dapat inyong buhaton. Kay kung makakreate na magud mo conceptual framework na sakto class, you have now the opportunity to do your related literature. And then from the related literature ninyo, dili na siya taka-taka na dayon because you have now the idea based from your conceptual framework. Diba? Because you have organized already your thoughts. Nagets ninyo ang conceptual framework? Oh, because that's one of the most important part of the chapter 1. Okay? kung nagbuat-buat ang magud mo conceptual framework based lang sa iyong na-research, then what's the point of doing your research? May pa ina nag-copy-paste na lang ang work sa research ngayon gi-research kaysa nagbuat mo inyo ha. Di ba? So, yan na lang. Okay? I hope it helps. Okay. How do we critique or how do we, let's say, how do we check if the theory or the model that we are selecting is accessible? So first, we have theoretical clarity, theoretical complexity, theoretical grounding, appropriateness of the theory, importance of the theory, and the general issue. If we will be summarizing the meaning of this all, of these different theories, okay, on assessing these theories, actually, kuha lang siya. Duwa lang atong i-possess nga nga intelligence when it comes to this one. Let's try to be constructive and inquiry-based. Okay? So, why do we think we need to be constructive and inquiry-based at the same time? If you talk about in constructive class, you will be more you will focus your idea on the real problem of your research. Okay? If you know the problem already and the possible solution, you'll be constructing a statement that is only based sa imong na study. Because if you will be, for example, no, kung dili ka constructivist nga kanang thinker, okay? Di ka constructivist nga thinker, daghan kay ka gusto ibutang because you are too imaginative. Now, based from your imagination, based from what you think is right, you'll be putting a lot of things there sa imuhang RRL and your conceptual framework, let's say, sa imo chapter 1 and 2, you'll be putting a lot of things that is based from your imaginative minds. Now, the problem is, will it be, will the result be, nabala siya clarity? Kung ang magbasa ba dana is mag-gets niya diretso ang pasabot sa imong study or hanging gyapon siya like you as a researcher, no? But if you are a constructivist thinker, you only construct a statement that is based from reality. You will not jump to conclusions that is that on the first place na dili siya pwede, di ba? So, say point na you have a very synthetic you have a very synthetic na class. Let's say you'll be doing a synthetic kind of what do you call this one? Let's say you'll be putting a lot of your idea in an orderly manner. Okay, not based from other people's opinion, but based from what you have understood from the recent studies that you have done, based from what your research is needed. Okay. Now, how about inquiry-based thinking? If if you have an inquiry-based thinking skills, you will have this systematized na way of doing it. Naakay goal. So if your goal there is to answer the specific problem, then you have now the idea on how to do it because you have the process already. You know the process on how to do it. So, di ba? Share lang ko based from the other answers of your classmates na nagpasa sa ilahang module 2 sa 3 eyes. So, daghan kayo nakagat sa idea. So, daghan kay sayop. Okay? Sayop ang gipangbutang. Kaya wala sila kasabot kung unsay pasabot sa question. Because you're not an inquiry-based thinker. Okay? You are a very let's say you are just a you're not even an abstract thinker na. You are just a creative. Okay? You're just a creative thinker. Daghan kay kuskus balungo si mo utok unya di man sakto ang pambutang nimo. Okay? So to generalize the idea of relating the framework to the literature, again, everything will come to place if you know what to do with your conceptual framework or when you do the theoretical framework. Because again, RRL will be supporting everything that you have put on your chapter 1. Because if you don't have any idea what to put on the chapter 1, then you have no right to create your chapter 2. Unsa imuhang ibutang sa chapter 2. Di ba? Mabutaha ang chapter 2 diya based lang sa imong nibawaan? No, it's not like that. You have to put everything on the chapter 2 based from what you have understand on the chapter 1 na imong gibuhat. If your chapter 1 is not good, then there's nothing to plan. Then there's no way that your chapter 2 will be good as well. I'm telling you. Remember, you need to defend your work, di ba? Am I right, Bulait? You still need to defend your work. Okay? How will you defend your work if you have no idea on on how chapter 1 was created? Okay? Especially, shout out ta sa mga group members nato nga walay puangod, walay konsensya. Okay? Agulat lang sa binuhatan sa uban. So I hope I have made myself clear about the relationship between the concept, let's say the framework and the literature, so that I can, what do you call this one? Pwede natin na siya i-wrap up. So, was everything clear about about the relationship of the framework to the RRL? Questions? Questions? Band reactions? None so far? None so far. Okay, so I hope and good luck on defending your chapter 1. I'm excited, actually. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you so much, and we'll see each other next week. God bless everyone.
God bless, sir. Thank you.
Bye, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir. Thank
Bye,
you.
sir.
Goodbye. Goodbye.